Hello friends, this is Beth Riss from Ironton, Ohio. This is going to be kind of probably one of my longest videos. Got a lot of stuff to cover. First of all, I would just like to start out with, a couple weeks ago, I contacted Terry Knipp, K-N-I-P-P. Don't know how old the fella is, but he's claimed to be an Ironton auditor. Now, I think back when Chili came here, he was begging Chili to be his security. He was going to be his security. And you can find that video on rightson channel, at rightson750, I believe. But that video will be on mine today, on my channel today. But anyway, I called this Ironton auditor, Terry Knipp, and I told him I had some information about a minor that had been allegedly raped by a current city police officer. Well, he was like, oh gosh, okay. Want me to tell him who it was? Well, who is he? What's he gonna do about it? You know, if you're claiming to these people, Terry, that you're out here in Ironton and you want them to contact you and you'll help them, the only thing you've helped anybody do is change a tire. You haven't helped the citizens of Ironton. You haven't uncovered anything about the police department. So anyway, before I start this, I want to tell all my friends that know I don't cuss much and I do not ever use the Lord's name in vain. If I say something bad on this video, it's simply to quote what Terry Knipp said on his video last night when he was kind of trying to intentionally tell people that he was going to expose everything about me since birth. Well, Terry, how are you going to... You want proof from me about wrongdoing from the police? You claim that's your job to watch them and follow them. That's your job, not mine. I'm retired. You can call me fired, retired, or whatever. You know, but before I go on, and just please excuse my language. If I quote something that was said last night, please forgive me, Lord, and my family and my friends that know that I don't talk like that. But here we go. Okay, so when I talked to Terry about that rape, the rape victim that did go to a local hospital and have a rape kit done, he wanted to meet. Well, I told him, I said, I'll meet you in a public place and we'll talk about it. He said, I want to see your proof. Well, I said, okay. And then I let him stew for a couple hours. Then I text him, and I'm not allowed to share any evidence with you because you don't have any authority to do anything about it. Why would I give you what evidence I have that people have entrusted me with? You're going to give it to Chad? You're going to give it to IPD? I mean, you said, you told me on text, did you not? And Chili and Rightson both have all the texts, and so does I don't even have to mention that. But anyway, that when I turned you down about giving you what proof I had, you said you have to be the most stupid person I've ever met in my life. What a short fuse. That goes along with that little Napoleon complex. In case you don't know what that is, it's called the small man syndrome, the little man syndrome. What is it? Are you about 5'1", about 115 wet, Terry Knipp? You know. Anyway, I'm going to try to not insult you, but it's going to be hard because you're an idiot. You are a total idiot. Okay, so last night on your video, with all them 22 watchers, of course, they faded out during the end when you all started talking about women on their periods and bleeding, and you talked about your first wife and now your girlfriend, Della. Not your wife, your girlfriend. Yeah, you talked about all kinds of things. Let me see here. I'll give you what, I'll tell you what, I will give you the first 2 hours of your video from 7 to 9, okay? 7 to 9, I will leave those two alone. Not because out of fear. What do I fear from you? You know where I live. Come on my property and I'll slap you around. That's what you say? You said you'd do that to Chile? Oh, honey, I'm surprised you can even find your way home. Anyway, so here we go. Last night's video from 7 to 9, I listened to it. And so did about 25 other people. Well, I wouldn't say 25, 22 at first. And he said, oh, we know you're there, him and Ed. Well, Ed, his cousin, don't know you, honey, nothing personal. Have never met you, it's nothing personal. But when you put yourself in that car with Terry Nip and you drive around the city of Ironton and you tell all these people in Ironton that you're out there to protect them from police corruption, you got involved, buddy. You got involved. I don't even know what your last name is, Ed, so I'm sorry to bring you up, but there you are in the passenger seat, aren't you? Okay, so anyway, let's start at, well, I'll even give you, I will even give you, I won't even say what you said at 9:01, but let's go to, how many times did you cross the Ironton Ashland Bridge last night, Terry? Is IPD going to be over in Ashland? What the hell are you going over across the bridge for? What, 4 times? Well, maybe 5. I'll have to look. You know, what are you driving across the Ironton Ashland Bridge for if you're supposed to be watching the IPD? Well, how many times did you go past the IPD station? What did you say? Oh, wait a minute. Let me find it. Their cars are here. They're probably busy doing what they do or doing their job. Well, if their cars are at the police department, Terry Nip. Yeah, I got a hair out of place. Wow. Just want to let all them people know that like to make fun of me. But anyway, if you're at the police department and you're videoing live and people are waiting for you to follow a cop doing something corrupt, and you see all the cop cars on the parking lot, what do? Instead of sit there and say, man, it's been 2 hours. I've sat here and I've not seen one IPD officer at all. No, you don't do that because you're an idiot. You drive around unwanted roads where there's nobody passing you. You talk about kids on bicycles. You talk about this. You talk about that. Ed starts singing. You make jokes about furs and minks. You know, you want my proof of evidence of something that happened to a citizen's child in my city? Honey, you better find somebody else because I'm way out of your league. And yes, you can say that's from a movie, The American President. But I'm saying something right now on no reference to me. It's just a statement. But I'm saying right now, you bring out anything you want to against me. You can check records. It was called the Lawrence County General Hospital. Now, it's not there anymore. It's not there anymore. But you don't know that. But anyway, that's where I was born in April 25th, 1962. Well, if I've not told anything about my own self, excuse me, if I'm not going to, I tell everything about my own life. If you can find something I haven't said, honey, you knock your little balls off saying it. You just go right ahead. Because I don't care. Nobody can do anything to me. I don't break the law. I'm not doing nothing. You know? And yes, by the way, I'm wearing a Granny's shirt. Granny's is a great local business here in Ironton. It's on 5th and Vine. I went there the other day, and you can get all kinds of neat clothes and hats and shirts and all kinds of other things. Anyway, so let's go back to 9:19 p.m. Okay, they're going back across the bridge again, and now there's 21 viewers. Okay. Lost one. Well, you don't got no content. Nobody wants to hear dirty jokes, and nobody, Terry Nip or Ed, want to hear the Lord Jesus Christ's name said in vain. What are you thinking? What are you thinking, Terry Nip? Idiot. Anyway, so now at 9:23, you stop for another coffee, okay? No one is watching you at that point. Okay, so anyway, at 9:22, I don't know if it was you or Ed, but anyway, you guys talked about grade A fur. Gee whiz. What's that got to do with the police department? At 9:26, you talked about having an upper GI and a colonoscopy. And where were the cops at 9:26, Terry? They were at the police department locked inside. Where were you at? Well, where were you at 9:26? You were talking about a colonoscopy. I'm surprised you can even pronounce it. So now at 9:27, you got 18 viewers. Okay, wow. Then you start making fun of the movie Help. And I don't know if you're a racist or not. I'm not going to claim you are. I would assume by your background that you may be. But, that's not, that's your concern, not mine. Then at 9:28, you start talking about electric cars. And 9:29, there was no cars around you. Then at 9:30, Ed, you went by a building, and Ed says he can see cars through the window at IDOT. Well, Ed, honey, it's ODOT, Ohio Department of Transportation. It's not IDOT. And if you can see cars through the window at IDOT, why can't you see police cars on the streets of Ironton? Think, boys. Okay. Then at 9:31, you all start talking about Harry Potter. And then you go from Harry Potter to talking about how you can expose somebody's social security number. Wow. What do those two things have in relevance? What? Harry Potter. What's Harry Potter got to do with the police? So where you at now? Okay. Then you start at 9:33 and you start talking about money for nothing. Bankruptcy, businessmen, revamping the laws. And then you do another Terry stop to get a juice. Go juice. I think that's what you said. Well, people heard what you said. Oh, mercy. This is so much fun. Anyway, so then at 9:36, your little group made sure. Now, you told me on text that you wasn't in this for money. But at 9:36, and about 8 other times, honey, you posted your Cash App, $ Ironton Auditor, Venmo at Terry Nip, 1 PayPal, IrontonAuditor@gmail.com. Well, if you aren't in it to make the few dollars that you are, sweetheart. Oh, sweetheart, that's what you call people. That's what you called me before you got mad at me because you didn't get what you want. So anyway, 7 p.m. now. No mention of the cops. Okay. Then he said at 9:38, after he got his coffee, if I spill my coffee while I'm out here, I'll sue the city of Ironton. Oh, wow. You're so scary. Then at 9:39, he starts talking about chili. And he likes to badmouth Chili, but I'm going to be posting one of rightson750's videos where he was kissing Chili's ass when Chili was here, and the only reason, and Chili was paying him to be the Ironton auditor. Chili bought his phone, believe gave him his gun. Might not be right about that, so don't quote me on that, little man. But anyway, so at 9:40, oh mercy. Then he started talking about have a great weekend. Well, last night was Monday, honey. Last night was Monday. The weekend's over. You did it on a Monday. Think. Okay. So, then he said, and I quote, "We spread so much bullshit, we don't know what we said." Think about it. I'll say that again. We spread so much bullshit, we don't know what we said. Who does? Who does that, Terry? Ed, you got any comments, Ed, or you want to sing like a virgin? And I mean that literally, because you did sing that song like a virgin last night. So much content about the police. Okay. So then you start talking about, Terry said, no tits without nipples would be pointless. What does tits and nipples have to do with police corruption in Ironton, Ohio, while you've got 10,400 people depending on you to find the corruption, and you don't do shit? Excuse me, I'm a little pissed. So you want to see Beth Risk? The bitch is back. Sometimes being a bitch is all you have to hold on to as a woman. Yes, Dolores Claiborne. Okay, talking about the tits and the nipples. No police talk. Oh my gosh. Oh God. And then you said at 9:42, you said, and I could tell you what intersection where you were at, but I don't need to go into that much detail. I don't think you know where you are half the time. Then you said, I quote, at least a nipple gives you a point of direction. And then that was at 9:42, okay? Well, 1 minute later, you go by the Catholic church where there's a blue light, and then you say, damn blue church lights. So, wow, you're cussing a church light at the Catholic church here in Ironton, and you are saying the Lord's name in vain, probably 64 times during your video. Shame on you. And it's going to be hot down there. Believe me, it's going to be hot down there. You better get right with Jesus, honey. You better get right with Jesus. Don't worry about these 22 people that are watching your little video on the Ironton Police. The only thing you mentioned last night about the police department was that you brought them donuts. That's the only thing you all said about the police department. So anyway, but you went by there a couple times, and they must be doing their jobs. But like I said before, why don't you just sit there? Expose them for not doing their jobs, Terry. Don't drive around vacant lots. How many times you go up to food fair? You know, nobody's up there. Nobody's up there at 9:43 shopping. Idiot. Okay, so we've talked about, you talked about the nipple, and you all talked about women on their periods and tampons and blood and all that. Oh, then you start talking about somebody at 9:44 named Chuck and called him a fat kid. Then at 9:44 too, you start talking about something about the movie Goonies. Okay, once again I say, Terry Nip, Ed, what does any kind of movie, any kind of song, any kind of sex, any kind of gay, transgender, any kind of label society puts on people, what's that got to do with police corruption, which is why you are out there? Are you listening? Are you listening to me? You want to meet me publicly somewhere? Let's do it live. You want to? You want to meet me publicly somewhere? Let's do it live. Anyway, let me get back. I hate to even hurt Della's feelings. I know she's your girlfriend, not your wife. But anyway, I hate to hurt her feelings because it's a shame you talk more about your first wife of 13 years than you do talk about your girlfriend Della of 14 years. And you talk about that. Oh my gosh. At 9:46, you said you were at the IPD parking lot. Ain't nobody in the cop cars, though. That's what you said. Well, if they're not in the cop cars, why aren't they in their cop cars, Terry? We get tax dollars out here paying for these cops to drive around for their whole shift, to prevent crime, to look for crime. You can't find it if you're sitting at the station. Okay. Oh, mercy. Then you were talking about, at 9:47, you were talking about your girlfriend complaining about when you let the phone ring. And then at 9:47, you started singing and laughing, and you started talking about hee-haw. Well, not many of you young folks will know what hee-haw is, But what the hell does he all have anything to do with IPD? Terry, Nip, and Ed, you don't have no content. You know why you don't have content? Because you avoid it. You were told on the day that Debbie Newcomb Blevins was found on Storms Creek, you were told about that. The only thing you said when you went down by there that night was there was a no loitering sign. Why didn't you talk about what happened? Why didn't you talk about it? Because you don't know how to investigate anything, because you're not a police officer. You might be a wannabe police officer, but you don't have the knowledge. I mean, you don't have the knowledge, honey. I'm sorry. Then at 9:50, you started talking about Opie Taylor. And you started talking about, I guess you were referring to Mayberry, the show. I love that show, don't you? But anyway, you were talking about Opie Taylor, and then you said that Jim Carrey directed that show. No, honey, Jim Carrey didn't. Ron Howard did. And you said that at 9:50. You're talking about Opie Taylor. What's that got to do with police? Okay, let's move on, shall we? Okay. Then, oh mercy. I'll leave that one alone. That might get you. Okay, at 9:51, you said the Lord's name in vain again. And then at 9:52, you said fuck and motherfuckers. By 9:52, you had said those two terms 42 times. And then at 9:53, what do you start talking about? Are you at the police department? Are you watching them? No. Let's talk about possum stew. What the fuck are you talking about? Possum stew has nothing to do with IPD. Okay. Then at 9:54, you ran a red light and joked about it. You knew the cops wasn't going to be anywhere, so you thought you'd run a red light. And there you're out there violating the law. And then you bring up Sam Cramlett and you make fun of him. Of course, I have too. All due respect, I don't have anything personal against Sam. It's just, using abuse of a judge or your authority to get out of something. Out of a DUI that two other mayors took with holding their heads up high and went through what they had to go through and didn't try to hide it. But this man did. But anyway, you give him a hard time for not using a turn signal, and then you run a red light. Well, think about that, honey. Okay, so then you start talking about that banks don't have any cash. Well, how many banks does the city of Ironton have, Terry? Think about it, and I'll give you a minute. How many banks does the city of Ironton have? And how many banks have cash in them? You think Ironton's got crypto and bitcoins and all that crap? Yeah, maybe they do. Okay. So then you said that banks don't have the cash. They want to make it hard for everyone to get cash out of their bank. Well, honey, that's their obligation when you make a bank account. I can go into that, but I don't want to make you look even more stupid than you do now. At 9:57, well, that's when you all started talking about, oh gosh, that's when you and Ed started to try to talk about adolescence. Well, you didn't know even how to pronounce it, honey. You didn't know how to pronounce it. So when you're trying to find, if you can show me that proof of your DD 214 where you claim you were a vet in the Army, I would like to also see that GED or that diploma. So anyway, let's get back to the police. Okay, so at 9:55, what do? Are you at the police department waiting for the police to come out still since 7? Okay, no, you're not. You start talking about Bloody Panda. Oh my goodness. Then you started talking about the lawyer, West Virginia civil rights lawyer. Or maybe you were referring to Bloody Panda, or maybe that was somebody's name on your that you were reading on your chat. I'm not sure about that, but anyway, still don't have anything to do with the police department or your self-proclaimed job to find out about the police department instead of taking them donuts. Anyway, So then at 9:57, okay, you've been into this for how long now? You say, and I quote, "Since we haven't got a cop on video for a long day's time, we should say hello." Well, that was 9:57. You started talking at 7. Okay, at 9:57, then you start talking about lap dances at Uncle Artie's. Okay, Uncle Artie, I don't know who you are, honey, and I have no beef with you, but you feel free to take a jab at me. I'm right here. Okay, so you start talking about lap dances. Terry and Ed. Terry, I think you called yourself the great Ironton auditor. Self-proclaimed great Ironton auditor. Okay. Anyway, see, lap dances. Well, Terry, Ed, what does lap dances, what does nipples, what does sex, what does any of this stupid shit you're talking about have to do with police corruption in the city of Ironton? Zero. Nothing. You're an idiot. Okay, let's move on. So then at 9:59, 2 minutes later after talking about lap dances, I think you took a whole 2 minutes for that. That must have been special for you. Bet you guys ejaculated on that one. Oh, that's right. You couldn't pronounce ejaculation, so you said ejaculation. Probably something you do every day, you just can't pronounce it. And that's perfectly fine. You don't have to be able to ejaculate. You don't have to know how to pronounce it. You can do it yourself. I'm sure you do because I'm not going to go there. So anyway, so then at 9:59, you said that people get so excited for your videos, they put you up on their big screen and watch you. Okay. Maybe they do. I sure don't. So then you start, right after you say that, you start talking about a prostate exam. Okay. It's okay to get a hard-on, Ed. Okay. What is a prostate exam and a hard-on got to do with the Ironton Police Department and the corruption and the rape victims and the abuse of what does any of this stupid shit you're talking about have anything to do with what you say you are or try to do? Then you start, at 9:59 again, you start talking about the ex-wife's father's prostate exam. And then that's when you start talking about ejaculation, but you called it ejaculation. Maybe you was joking. If you were joking, I'm sorry, you can call me out on that when you bring out everything from my date of birth, like you said last night, to present time. Honey, if you can find something I ain't told on myself, good luck. But if you can't even find your way home, you better get some friends, honey. You better find some friends. Oh, mercy. Okay. Oh, here's where you quote yourself. You said at 10:02 p.m., you said, even the great Ironton auditor prevents me from doing what I want to. Let me get it right now. Even the great Ironton auditor prevents me from doing what I want to. What do you want to do, Terry? You want to make threats like you did on me on text that Chili and Rightson have? And we'll be doing a whole new group session on that one. So bring all your girlfriends and from you know where, from out of town. And bring all you got, honey. Bring all you got. So then at 10:03, now you've been on the air for 3 hours and 3 minutes. Okay, at 10:03, are you at the police department lot still waiting for those cop cars to come out? And saying, man, why are they sitting in there and not patrolling the streets? No. You just go on by and start driving down these lonely roads where nobody travels. And you start talking about pantyhose. And you said pantyhose makes a hell of a noise when she starts screaming. Are you a pedophile, Terry? Are you a pedophile? Are you a sex offender? Are you I'm asking you. Oh, I'll find out. But I'm asking you. I'm not going to say something that I'm not sure of, unlike you. But anyway, what does your quote, Pantyhose makes a hell of a noise when she starts screaming. Ha 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 ha. Ed starts laughing. You think that's funny? Talking about women derogatory like that? Boy, I wonder how you treat your girlfriend Della. Buy her a updated washer, little motherfucker. It's 2023. Okay, so at 10:04, you were talking about air conditioning. You didn't have air conditioning, or you did, or something. Still no talk about the police. 10:05. Oh, mercy. You said the Lord's name in vain several more times. Then at 10:06, you were in the alley at IPD. You turned left out of the parking lot, and you passed the Ronay. And then you said, Della, when you were passing the Ronay, you said Della knows what Della wants to know. And maybe she will. You said something about her. She was home eating fried chicken or chicken, and maybe when you got home, your girlfriend Della might let you lick her fingers. What's that got to do with IPD out in Pedro? Licking some girlfriend's fingers that don't have still has a ring or washer. I feel sorry for you, honey. You need to get out of that relationship, if that's what he calls it, because you're getting abused probably. If he won't get you a washer to wash your clothes, honey. I'm not making fun of anybody that don't have a washer. But if you got money to drive around town and absolutely produce no evidence of corruption in the Ironton Police Department, when that's your self-proclaimed job, I feel bad for you, Terry. I really do. Okay, so then at 10:07, now this might be one of your friends. It kind of sounds like it might be. You start talking something about dusty balls, and that's probably one of your friends. And then at 10:08, you said, probably go in early tonight. I got shit to do. And then you said it's going to be a slow night out here. And then at 10:09, you started talking about hoochie coochie. Well, and Ed started talking about the rubber on asphalt. Well, we both can see that metaphor. Oh, well, that's right. You might not know what a metaphor is. You can Google that, honey. Google. Anyway, so then at 10:10, oh, mercy. Talking about somebody without a headlight. Then at 10:11, you made this huge comment that Ironton may just break off into the river. Wow. Yep. Ironton just might break off into the river. Wow. I missed that on the news. Oh, but you did too, didn't you? Didn't you, Terry? Because you told last night on your video that you didn't have access to Wi-Fi. You didn't have access to cable or TV. And you didn't know who was running for city council. The only people you knew who was running for mayor was Chris Perry and Sam Cramlett. And, if you don't got access to the news, how do you know what the fuck's going on? Well, of course, you can go to the left or to the right and watch what channels you want to find out what information you want to believe. Do you know what left and right is, Terry? Is that Democrat and Republican? Where's Pedro? I'm going to get me one of those shirts. Remember that movie? I'm surprised you didn't talk about that movie. Talked about every other movie last night. Okay, so then at 10:11, start talking again about, you asked Ed if at 10:12 if you were coming and going. You said, am I coming or going? I don't know what that was directed towards. I don't know what you guys were doing. And you were talking about somebody clipping their nails. And then Ed said, if you massage your prostate, I know a friend. Well, Ed, what did you just admit? If you massage your prostate, you know a friend. I bet you do, honey. Stay with me. I'm not done. So at 10:15, no, let's go back to 10:12, where you said, I don't know who you were referring this to, but you said they get serious about pulling out your dick. I don't know who they is. I don't know who that you're referring to, but that's what you said. They get serious about pulling out your dick. Well, what's that got to do with IPD and the corruption? What's that got to do with these police officers having sex with minors or possession of drugs and drug trafficking? Oh, right now at 2 o'clock, it's 2:07. Spaljaric's sentencing is at the courthouse. I have some people there, but I can't wait for that. Did you talk about that last night? Why didn't you inform the public, Terry and Ed, that Spaljaric's sentencing was today at 2? Well, because you didn't know. But yet you stood out there with myself and 5 other women holding up domestic violence signs, acting like you were against corrupt cops, and now you can't get enough of them. I don't want to use the terms, but I think people can use their imagination what you do for them. But anyway, they get serious about pulling out your dick. Well, yeah, that's something people kind of probably would get serious about. Whether in a good way or a bad way, that's up to the person that's viewing that. But that still has nothing to do with police. And then you keep driving around away from the department, knowing cops aren't going anywhere. So at 10:16, what do you uncover at 10:16 p.m.? Now you've been in this video since 7 p.m. So at 10:16, what the hell do you start talking about? Well, Tudor's Biscuit World's biscuits. Tudor's, really great fucking biscuits, and GD. I'm not even going to repeat that because I know God loves me and I'm going to heaven. I'm sorry, Terry. I hope you get right with Jesus. It's better to be right with Jesus than your friends, honey. But anyway, you talk about, you say that GD word makes the biscuits. And you talked about that for 3 minutes. And then you went on to say, oh, God. I'm not going to repeat that. Then at 10:18, you were back up at Food Fair again, way far away from the police department. So if you're driving around, Terry, think about it. If you're driving around, if you really want to expose corruption in Ironton from the police department, why don't you sit at that station and video those police cars sitting there for 4 solid hours and say, why are these cops not out patrolling? Why do you drive around other places and talk about jokes and sing songs and pronounce words, try to pronounce words, talk about sex and nipples and ejaculation and oh gosh, you're so funny. You're such a Napoleon complex, honey. It's so precious. I mean, it really is precious. Oh, mercy. Okay, still 21. No talk about the police. And this is after you said you were going to go home here in a little bit. So anyway, so at 10:22, you were on 93 again, and under the 52 highway there. And you started talking about the barrels on 93. Boy, that's real interesting, honey, because you don't have to tell us about the barrels because we drive by them every day, sweetheart. We drive by them every day, honey. You don't have to explain the barrels. Talk about the cops. Do your fucking job or get the fuck out of this town. Now, if you can't do your job, I suggest you slither on back out to Pedro and do whatever you do is out there. People want answers, and you're not providing them. Okay, so at 10:23, then you go by McDonald's. You talk about the sausage biscuits deal, about McDonald's, and that they taste better than Tudor's or Bob Evans. And then at 10:24, you talked about when you worked at Bob Evans. Well, I commend you for doing a hard job working at Bob Evans. You know, working a job like that, people don't get paid enough. These people that are servers and waiters, they don't get paid enough. You know, you're so willingly to say that you worked at Bob Evans that I'm proud of you, but where's that little DD214? Where's that at? If you worked at Bob Evans, why can't you post your DD214? So then at 10:25, you talked about Popeye Chicken. You talked about the show South Park. Okay? And you talked about that for a few minutes. Okay, then you said that I have no TV at home and no cable, no satellite, etc., which proves you don't have access to the news. So what knowledge would you have? What knowledge would you have? You've got your phone. Maybe you don't have Wi-Fi like you said and you can't get on there. Well, like I said, honey, go to Google, Google, and you just type in what you want to look for, and you can find it. And you can print it out on your computer if you got one. If you don't, you can go to the Briggs Library and they'll print it out for you. So anyway, so at 10:26, you pass by IPD again. Nothing, you didn't say anything about police talk. And you started talking about Kate's channel. And I don't know if you were saying anything about bad or good about her. It's none of my business. I don't know Kate, so I have nothing against her. And then you say that Kate gave you Chili's criminal history. And that's fine. But you got to remember, honey, there's videos of you kissing Chili's ass, honey. Videos of you kissing Chili's ass. So you wanted to be him so bad you couldn't stand it. So you tried to go out on your own, and you just don't get those views, do you, honey? But anyway, let's move on. Who am I to judge? And then at 10:28, you say, I'm the best IA. Quote, I'm the best IA. Out of who? Nobody else is out there doing it in Ironton. Idiot. So at 10:28, you're looking at those red flashing lights, aren't you, honey? Then you start talking about hillbillies. Well, I'd be proud of my heritage if I was a hillbilly. I've even been called a hillbilly. But, you know, I'm not in the West Virginia or Virginia mountains. I guess you would consider this Appalachia. Okay, so anyway, let's move on. Okay, then at 10:29, you start talking about a commercial joke. Then you tried to explain to everybody what yield means. And I think you spent probably about 85 seconds on trying to explain what yield means. Honey, people know what yield means. Do you? So anyway, so then you, at 10:30, you start using the Lord's name in vain again. Hot down there, honey. It's probably really going to be hot down there. And then at 10:31, you were at 7th and Park. And then you started talking about the movie called Wrong Turn. Okay, so you spent some time on that. Still no talk about the police department. Nothing. So you've been on air now from 7 to 10:31. And the cop cars are still at the station. Wouldn't you assume, since you can't find them? Wouldn't you assume that if, well, we won't go there because I'm not going to assume. I was going to ask you if you would assume, but I don't know if you know what that means. But anyway, so then at 10:33, says that he there's not a restroom in sight. Well, if there's not a restroom in sight in Ironton, where you at? Where you at? Restrooms everywhere. You stop and piss every 10 to 12 minutes. What are you boys drinking? Coffee makes you pee all that much? I don't know. I drink coffee, but I think there's maybe other fluids that you might be drinking. And I'm not making accusations. I'm just saying, why do you have to pee every 10, 15 minutes, honey? Why do you have to say you're getting a coffee? Maybe you are. Maybe Speedway's cameras, upon request, can prove that you're getting a coffee. You might want to get your proof of that. Like I've got my proof of what I've got. So anyway, let's see here. Okay, so then I think you took Ed to pee. Or you peed or whatever. Okay, at 10:33, you said somebody called you on the house phone. And that you had to return the call. And at 10:34, 5th and Washington, 10:35, there was a golf cart in front of you. You remember that little golf cart in front of you? At 10:35, Terry, Ed? Remember the golf cart in front of you? Ed's got to pee again. Okay, then you start talking about the movie Deliverance. This was at 10:36. Okay. Now, I'm not sure who talked about the movie Deliverance. I think Terry Nip was in Speedway peeing. It may have been Ed, so I'm not going to say either. It had to be one or the other. Most likely Ed. If Terry was peeing, he's the only one in the car. So then you start talking about the movie Deliverance. And what in the heck? I'm going to try to refrain myself, but let me make it more clear. What in the fuck does the movie Deliverance have to do with IPD corruption and out here searching and preventing crime? Zero, you idiot. Okay, so anyway. Okay. Then at 10:43, you start saying somebody comes to your fucking house, they're going to take an ass whipping. And if they come to your house on public property, you're going to do this and that. And what are you, about 115, soaking wet, 5'1", 5'2"? Everybody's scared, honey. Everybody's scared of you, honey. I don't think you could beat yourself out of a wet paper bag. Yeah, that's Lawrence County General, 4/25/62, my date of birth. Now, you can start from my date of birth, and you can follow me all through history. It might take you about 10 years, but knock yourself out. Remember, Google, Google. Okay, so anyway, okay. So then at 10:43, you start talking about Fred Bowens. Then I think you meant Chuck Bronson. I think you and Ed were arguing over what the name was again. Not sure what that scrambling about was. Then at 10:44, at Quincy, you talk about Duck Dewey. You use the Lord's name in vain again several times. At 10:45, you start talking about chili. And you said, police have not bothered me, so I have had no problem with them. Well, no, they're not going to bother you, honey. You got that little tiny phone videoing them. They're not going to bother you. They're going to sit at the station, let you drive around, mislead everybody, acting like you're looking for them while they're sitting at the police department, locked inside. Oh, honey. Ooh. DD 214. I doubt it, sweetheart. I doubt it. I think there's... Well, never mind. So, the police aren't not bothering me, so I'm not bothering with them. Well, that's your job, honey. The only thing you've done with the police is buy them donuts. So then at 10:46, you start talking about the Death Wish movie. Okay. And then at 10:47, you talk about APO asking you to call him. And at 10:48, another stop in the alley there with all them crates stacked up and trash. That's fine. Everybody has trash. I got trash. You can drive down my alley, Terry, and video my trash cans if you want. Just saying, I want to make the statement you said relevant to what time you said it. So you can go back and look when you saw the crates, and then you can check what you said. Since you seem to just be running off the top of your head, honey. Or your ass, one. So anyway, so you stop there at 10:48. And then at 10:49, either you or Ed starts bringing up Little Chicago. Oh, God. Okay. All right. Little Chicago. Wonder where you got that. Probably because I posted that term on Ironton 411 and on In the Know. You start talking about Buddy Face Nelson on 9th Street. And that's about all the history you knew. Well, boys, let me tell you something. If just the term Little Chicago is all the history you knew, instead of driving around in circles and wasting all that gas money that people donate to you, go to the library, honey. Go to the library. Go look on a computer. It's free. If it costs $1, I'm sure somebody will give you one. I'm sure you got one. I'm sure you may be a wealthy man. If you are, I'm glad for you, honey. God bless. If I'm mistaken, you can correct me. Okay? So anyway, this is nothing personal, honey. You want to threaten me that you're going to do an expose on me from my date of birth? Honey, bring it on. You know, bring it on. I'm not afraid of you. So anyway, okay, so then you start talking about, Ed said that's all the history I know. Well, if that's all the history you know about the city of Ironton, you need to go to the library and research it. And then while you're driving around town, this is an idea. While you're driving around town, Terry and Ed, instead of telling jokes about nipples and tits and prostates and massaging prostates and gays and women and tampons and bleeding, you could have a lot more interesting history content if you just go to the library and they can print it out right there. Instead of reading your chats from your whoever your people are on there that are probably, well, never mind. You could have all this knowledge. People would flock to your channel if you were going to talk about the true history of the very town you're trying to say you're out there trying to protect and trying to find out corruption. You need to know a little bit about the history of the city, honey. I doubt you know the history of your own address. So anyway, oh gosh, so much fun. Okay, bear with me, honey. I'm almost over. Well, I might be. Then you made a comment that really impressed me at 10:51. I think it was Ed. I think it was you, Ed. You said small town police corruption. Judge and town has blood stain on his hands everywhere in USA. Now, I don't know if you were quoting that off of somebody's post on your or comment on your channel, or if you thought that up in your head, or if you had it written down, or if you just remembered it, or if you were told that. And if you were told that, yeah, you're right. You're right, Ed. I commend you, honey. There is small town corruption all over the USA. But we're not talking about all over the USA, Ed and Terry. You're talking about Ironton, Ohio. 10,400 citizens thinking you're out there trying to find out the corruption that is happening to them and their families and their kids and their grandkids. These kids that are in Ironton High School with a male former deputy that was exposed, beating a man to death, and got suspended, then got his job back at the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office. And now he's at schools patting your daughters, the citizens of Ironton's daughters down in the women's bathroom. And who's going to stop him? The principal? I don't know who the principal is, but I think maybe you better look into the background of the person you're going to have watching over these kids, because if one of these kids gets raped in a high school, buddy, you're going away for a long time. I'll tell you what, if I had a child Well, if I had a child, I'd already been dead if they had tripped on getting on the school bus when they were 6, because I would have probably shot the bus driver. I'm sorry, I'm just that protective. Oh, mercy. So anyway, let's go on. Mercy, it's 2:27, and I wanted to get this all done by 3 so I could post it. So anyway, I didn't want to go live because I want to read what I documented. There's a little thing called documentation. If you document everything that happens, what time it happened, where it happened, who heard it happen, if it was raining, if it was snowing, if you document every single thing about an occurrence, nobody can dispute you. Think about that, boys. Documentation. Okay, at 10:52, yeah, you were talking about small town USA, but you really need to focus on Ironton. But since you don't know the history of Ironton, and you don't know the corruption of Ironton, oh gosh, this is so much fun. I'm going to have to do this a lot more often. But anyway, so at 10:52, Ed's waiting in the car for Terry. Ed says Terry's wants to be, or is going to be, a baker, and he makes pies and things. Well, that's interesting. Then at 10:52, while Ed's waiting on Terry to come out, he don't have anything to say, so he starts whistling. He's whistling. He is whistling. People are watching this channel for corruption of IPD. What the fuck are you doing sitting there whistling? Idiot. Okay, so here we go. Then Ed said, at 10:54, Ed said, he can hum and whistle at the same time. And then he showed that talent. I'm not sure if I can hum and whistle at the same time, but I'm not really sure that has anything to do with IPD and the corruption that's going on. But go ahead and whistle, honey. Go, you knock yourself out. When you get home, you get on that swing set and you just swing away, honey. Okay. So we talked. He whistled for a little bit, and then Ed, he's still waiting on Terry to come out, and he said, "It's been so long since I seen Hee Haw." Well, here we go about Hee Haw. What the hell does the show Hee Haw have anything to do with IPD and corruption or crime? And then he starts talking about the old J.C. Penney building. This is Ed now. Now, I'm not saying this is Terry, because I'm sure Terry knows. Well, he may not know, but this is Ed saying this. He said he was talking about the old J.C. Penney building, okay? Well, he didn't refer to it. He said it used to be a DJ dance club, but he didn't refer to what it was now. Now, although these two characters have passed by the J.C. Penney building, which is now the city building, you may have been in it. I know Terry has. But Ed, if you don't know where the city building's at, honey, and you're passing it and you're talking about, never mind. I think people can come up with that for yourself. Okay, let's move on. Oh, then Ed tells Uncle Artie, "Fuck you." Yeah, that's class act. I'm not saying that about you, Uncle Artie. I don't know you. I'm saying Ed. I mean, why do you guys have to say fuck and motherfuck and GD and why do you have to use that language? Don't you have any more intelligent words to speak? Either one of you. Can't you say, well, we know you can't pronounce things right. Adolescence, ejaculations, however you want to call it, however you want to say it. But, if you don't have anything interesting more than whistling, your channel's not going to grow, honey. Now, obviously, I don't care if my channel grows because I haven't made a video since, I don't know, it might have been a month ago, maybe, I don't know. And I don't check my channel. I have my own life. I'm retired and enjoying life, I don't have time for this nonsense. But today, I'm making an exception for you, Terry. Terry Nip, Ironton auditor. Yep, I sure am, honey. And you can do any exposés on me you want. You can say you've got this and you've got that. What do I got, buddy? What do you think I got? Documentation. Oh, mercy. I mean, do you even go back and watch your own videos, Terry? Do you go, well, that's right. When you go home, you can't because you don't have Wi-Fi. Okay, my bad. Instead of maybe you ought to, while you got this self-proclaimed job as Ironton auditor, why don't you move in Ironton so you can get Wi-Fi? Then you can watch the news. Then you can see who's running for council. And then, or you could just go to Google, Google, and type in Ironton Tribune. And then you can go to that Tribune, and maybe, I'm not, 65-70% of the time they may be right. Sometimes they may be wrong. I think it's all on who it prospers out of what they say, just like the media. So anyway, okay. Then at 10:51, you said they must have forgotten that I am the Ironton auditor. Big names. Big names, little men. Okay. Okay, so at 11:01, now how long have you been on the air now at 11:01? I'll give you time to add it up. Okay, it talks about somebody interaction with somebody that he knew or he may have known. I'm not assuming anything. I'm just telling you what I've got documented here. So he starts talking about, this is the only time the cops are mentioned in any kind of negative manner. Thanks, Ed. Maybe you ought to move over and drive that car and let him ride in the back. So you said, I think you even used the word cordial. Ed, I'm proud of you, buddy. I'm proud of you. Whew. Grannies. Love you guys. Anyway, so let's get back. So at 11:01, Ed starts talking about a cordial interaction where the police knocked on a man's door and the man had a gun, so the police shot him. Well, and then right at 11:02, Terry changes the subject, starts talking about his stereo system. Why didn't Terry follow Ed's lead? Ed, start driving, buddy. So anyway, stereo system. Oh my gosh. That GD word again. At 11:02. Oh, mercy, Terry, honey. Okay. May God have mercy on you, honey. I'm going to be praying for you, and I mean that wholeheartedly. God knows I mean that wholeheartedly. My friends know I mean that wholeheartedly. My friends know who I am. The people in this town know who I am and what I've been through. Back in the times before you, people had scanners, okay? But now the police are on a private little channel, so nobody can hear their communications, okay? I would love it if you would announce what that channel is, honey. Do you know what that channel is? Well, I'll leave that. Now write it down. You take a note and then go to the library and search for it. They'll help you. So anyway, okay, at 11:05 there were 18 people watching, honey. From 7 to 11:05, you're down to 18 viewers. Go on home and lick Della's fingers. Go on home. That chicken's getting cold, honey. Okay. No cars. So then Ed starts singing, "There's a hole in the bottom of the sea." That was at 11:06. There's a hole in the bottom of the sea. There's a hole in the bottom of the sea. Well, I can't sing, but what the fuck does that got to do with IPD and police corruption, you idiots? Nothing. Okay. So you have no content. You make jokes. You don't have any facts. You don't have any stats. You don't have nothing. You have no research. You don't have nothing. You make jokes because you don't know anything. You're ignorant. You're illiterate. You're not educated. So anyway, okay. Oh, at 11:08, Ed, which I think is probably smarter than you, Terry, Ed suggests you go to the ghost town, State Town Trailer Park. Well, Terry said the Lord's name in vain again. And at that, I think that was about the 63rd time. I've lost count at that point, but I've got it down here in a minute. Yes, a lot of crime happens at State Town Trailer Park. It has for years. I was called there 20 times a week on evening turn. A lot of drugs, a lot of stolen property, a lot of people that don't have the means to take care of themselves, that get taken advantage of by their neighbors and law enforcement who do not answer calls when they are called down in that area. Maybe they're afraid to go down there in that area. I don't know. I went down there all the time and talked to them kids playing and all that, but people know that. So anyway, then you talk about the mayor election coming up, and okay, and then you said hello to Amanda, and then you said something about Chili calling Chris Perry, that Chili was racist against Chris Perry. I don't know that if Chili was, because I wasn't watching at the time. If he was, that's his problem, not mine. But anyway, then Terry, you said you'd actually like to meet Chris Perry. Well, I think that would be a good idea. I think you should meet each candidate. And all you got to do to find out who's running, honey, is go down to the Board of Elections. I'm sure you can find it. It's got a big label on the door. It says Board of Elections Office. And you just ask them if they can provide you with the names of people running for, I'm sweating a little bit. I'm out in the garage, but it's a good sweat. So anyway, they'll tell you who's running. So before next video, maybe you could come up with who's running for city council. Maybe you can provide the agendas of each city council person running and the agendas of each person running for mayor. People will want to hear that. Okay? People will listen. They're not going to listen to titties, nipples, prostate exams, and colonoscopies. They're not going to want to hear that fucking bullshit, you dumbass. Okay. So again, oh my gosh. Okay. So you didn't go down to State Town. Well, we know that. Okay. Going out past Speedway. Park Avenue again. Oh my gosh. Ed starts singing again. Ed, you ought to look into that. You ought to look into that as a career, honey. So anyway, one thing, I just got a couple more things to say, and then I'm going to ad-lib the rest. Terry said you got to train women. Well, you got to train your women. What kind of attitude is that? What kind of attitude is that? And why do men think they have the right to, or the option to, or the right to speak derogatory about women? Now, Terry, that word is derogatory, honey. Derogatory. That means in a negative manner, okay? All right, okay. Okay, so right before you go off of your video last night, Ed starts singing Like a Virgin from Madonna. Okay, Ed, you're a good singer, buddy. I say, I'd email old Madonna, but maybe she'll hook you up. But anyway, so then you got off of your channel, and you went home and did what you do. And so anyway, yeah, this has been my longest video, and I'm going to start getting more involved because this is so much bullshit. I think maybe as a regular citizen, anybody can follow the police. I think I posted that off of Google Google, Terry, Google. I posted that off of Google, not in my own words, but I posted that on In the Know about the definitions of things and the laws, and about the right to video interaction with the police, and about the right to take up for yourself if you feel like your life is threatened. Okay. Okay, and then I did post, and this was only directed towards you, Terry Nip. You wanna come at me with threats? You're gonna bury me with my own words of everything I've said over the last year and a half. Honey, everything I've said over the last year and a half is been on my YouTube channel. But that's right, you don't got Wi-Fi, so you can't watch them, or you don't watch them because you know, who knows? What does a woman know in Ironton? What does a female know? Well, you know what? Chief James Carey told me an interesting fact one time. Well, I don't think it's a fact. It's a fact in his head. But me and Janine Reed and Tony Force and Dan Johnson were all standing there in the dispatch area. And myself and Janine Reed were watching the ministry of Joyce Meyer. Love her. Love her. Chief Carey came in and said, turn that shit off. No woman belongs behind the pulpit, and no woman belongs in law enforcement. Women were made from Adam's rib. You are second-class citizens. Well, witnesses to that. Documentation. Know the time, the date, part of the lawsuit. Ironton versus Riss versus Ironton. You can look it up on Google. And Terry, I'll be waiting for that old DD214, honey. Or even if you got dog tags. If you don't got dog tags, you can order them off of Amazon. You can make them up. If you make them up and wear them, people might believe you. But I'm waiting on that DD214. Okay, DD214. So if you can provide me with that, that'll be okay. So I want to tell my friends and my followers, if you're not serious about exposing corruption in this town, get the fuck off the streets and quit making money off of people waiting to hear if you're following the police that might have their granddaughter in the car having sex with them at Center Street Landing. Get off the streets or do something. Talk to you soon. Beth Riss, Ironton, Ohio. 1515 South 10th Street, Ironton, Ohio. I'm right here, Terry Nip. Come on my property and see what happens, little man. That little Napoleon complex. Oh, let me explain what that Napoleon complex is. Now, I don't want to use my own words. I want to use the words on Google. So that's me not saying the words myself. This is the definition that Google gives for the Napoleon complex. And it's called, what is the syndrome called? It's called on Google, small man syndrome. Refers to a condition where a man feels inadequate because of his short height. Feels inadequate because of his short height and may try to overcompensate it with overly aggressive behavior. The syndrome is often referred to as Napoleon complex in reference to the famous military leader. Okay, honey, I think I've about ruined your credibility. So, you have a nice day, Terry, and I hope you all comment. I don't care if you say anything bad. I can take it. I don't have a short fuse like Terry. He is an idiot for thinking I'd back down from him, because I didn't back down from J.B. Collier. I didn't back down from the courts, the police department, the politicians. I didn't back down from any of them. And as a matter of fact, after I got fired in 2008, 2009, I got elected to city council. So I told that to Terry, and he said, but you came in dead last every time. I said, Terry, a win's a win. You know, why don't you run for Ironton City Council Terry. I think Ed's got a better chance of getting it than you. You know, people in this town had scanners. They heard what they did to me. That's why they go to a private channel now. They don't want people to hear what they're doing, where they're at, who they're with. But people know. So anyway, I'm going to jump in the pool and relax. So it was good talking to all you folks. And if you're in Ironton, go down to Granny's and go visit them fine folks. And I appreciate your time. God bless. Lord, forgive me for repeating foul language. Don't ever use the Lord's name in vain on your videos, Terry, because that shows your background. People don't have to do a background check. If that's the best words you can come up with is to talk bad about our Lord Jesus Christ, I feel sorry for you, honey. I really do. I'm praying for you. Have a good night. Beth Wrist, Ironton, Ohio.